This video we're going to look at schematic properties. There's a few things that we want to check, especially when you first load your software. There's some defaults set, and this software was written, I believe, in Australia originally. So their paper size is different. It's called A4 and not letter size. So if you go to your schematic and right click, you'll see a thing that says preferences. I'm going to click on that. Opens up my preferences, and in my preferences you have system, data management, or schematic, PCB editor, a lot of preferences. We want to get the general preferences, and we look at the sheet size here. All right, the sheet size is A4. That's a common size in Europe and other parts of the world, not so common here. If you forget to change it, when you go to print it, the printer is going to ask you to insert A4 size paper. We don't want to deal with that. So let's just click the little bar here and tell it letter. Now we have letter size. I'm going to tell it apply and tell it, I'm not going to say OK yet. I'm going to leave it there. It is possible to use other sizes that we have here in the States, a legal size. Now, if I leave it on letter, you'll see it's letter size paper is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So you see it says 11,000 mils and 8,500 mils. A mil is 1,000th of an inch, 0.001 inches. So they're telling you that this is 8.5 by 11 inches. If I somehow had a bigger schematic and I had legal size paper, now look, I'm 8.5 by 14. It's just 3 inches longer. But you would have to have that size paper in your printer in order to do that. So I'm going to go back to letter and tell it OK. So after I've done that, I've set my preference, it's going to save it, and it'll stay that way from now on, including new projects. It'll keep thinking that you want to use letter size paper. If I come to File and I go to this Print button here, it says Print, you can do Control P or Print. It'll pop it up, and there's the preview. I can see my print. I can scale it if I want and say, oh, I just want 50%, right? And it'll scale it down. I like to leave it scaled at the full size because I want to see it full size, which happens to be 94% at this case because it keeps a little bit of margin on the edges here. And center and all that, that's fine. I can set this as my default. Actual size. You can also say fit on page and it'll auto scale it. So if I just happen to have, maybe I was drawing in a bigger size paper and I can tell it, oh man, I made my schematic so big, I'm going to shrink it down and make it fit on this piece of paper. That can be okay, but can be a problem too. If you shrink it too much, then you can't read the stuff on the paper because it gets too small. So I'll leave it fit on page because that's all I need when I'm printing on a piece of paper. There's my printer selected already. I can tell it print. Now it jams that data out to the printer. Probably can't hear it with my microphone, but it's getting printed. I'll reach back here, grab my paper. I don't know how well that's going to show up on there, but anyway, you can see I printed it and it fit on my paper. Good enough. That's good because I can print my schematic, keep it in my notebook, know what I've done at that point. You can date it and sign it and stuff so you know what it is and you have a copy of it. That's about it for this video. We just wanted to talk about some properties for your schematics in your printing. Printing becomes very important. There's going to be different properties for PCBs, but we're not at the PCB yet. We'll cover those later.